The tablet was recovered from a provincial temple archive, not a royal one, which matters more than it sounds like it should. Royal archives kept documents written for kings who wanted to be remembered. Provincial temple archives kept tax rolls, offering lists, the occasional local hymn. They did not, as a rule, keep documents that read like a registry of unseen beings stationed along the route a prayer takes on its way to a god. This one does exactly that, and is the only one of its kind ever recovered intact. The passage opens the way a great many Sumerian religious texts open. The sky is named, the order of the world is set out, the gods are placed in their stations. Nothing unusual yet. It is the second section that breaks the pattern completely, because the second section introduces a class of beings the tablet calls, in the closest available rendering, the Watchers of the Going Up Path. The Going Up Path, in the cosmology this tablet assumes, is the route a spoken prayer travels once it leaves a human mouth, on its way to whichever god it was addressed to. According to the tablet, the Watchers are not standing on that path by accident. The verb describe uses implies stationing, the way a guard is stationed at a border crossing, not the way a passerby happens to be standing nearby. They were placed there. Someone put them there on purpose. What do? Station on the road of prayer takes upward. The tablet is specific, and this is the detail that unsettled the one scholar whose partial working notes on this fragment survive. The Watchers examine what passes them, not receive. Examine the way a customs officer examines goods at a checkpoint. Prayers meeting a certain description are allowed to continue on, unchanged. Prayers meeting a different description are copied, and only the copy is permitted to travel further, while the original is kept behind at the checkpoint. The tablet never says what becomes of what is kept behind. It only uses a storage verb, the same word Sumerian scribes used elsewhere for grain sealed in a warehouse, held for later use. The tablet names 7 of these Watchers, and it ranks them, and it assigns each one a specialty. One is described as the one who examines prayers spoken in fear. Another examines prayers spoken by the very young. A third examines prayers spoken more than once, meaning repetition itself, with something being tracked and logged. The list runs this way, entry after entry, in flat administrative language, naming no one, until the 7th entry, where the pattern breaks a second time. The 7th Watcher, unlike the first 6, was given an actual name. That is the entry the scribe erased that we can say very little for certain about what the missing name was, and the honest version of this story has to be upfront about how thin the physical evidence actually is. Under raking light, the surface shows the faint ghost of a stylus groove beneath the smooth clay, enough to confirm something was written and deliberately removed, not enough to confidently reconstruct what it said. Everything past that point is reading between the lines of a text that no longer fully exists, and it should be treated that way. Here is the reading anyway, because it is the reason this fragment is worth talking about at all. 6 of the 7 Watchers are described only by function. Interchangeable, replaceable, defined by the job and nothing else. The 7th alone was given a name, which means the 7th occupied a different category in the scribe's mind than the other 6 did. Not an official, something closer to a person. And if that is the one entity whose name was physically removed from a finished, otherwise untouched tablet, the simplest explanation is not a scribal error. Scribes fixed errors by starting a new tablet, not by defacing a sacred one already finished. The simplest explanation is that someone, afterward, decided that one specific name was too dangerous to leave standing, even though the tablet was perfectly willing to describe, in plain language, exactly what that entity was said to do. That distinction carries the whole weight of the story. A scribe willing to write, openly and repeatedly, about beings that intercept prayer before it reaches its destination was apparently still not willing to let one particular name of one particular interceptor survive in writing. Whatever that name was attached to, it was handled less like a historical curiosity and more like something still active enough to be worth silencing. The closing line of the passage is the only sentence in the entire second section the scribe left untouched, and it reads in translation, "Know the Watchers by what they take, not by what they are called." It is structurally a striking way to end a warning, because it removes the one tool a reader would normally use against something like this. You cannot banish a thing by learning its name if the name was never the part that mattered. The tablet remains in storage today, cataloged mostly by its physical dimensions, occasionally cited in specialist footnotes, and almost never discussed anywhere past that. Not from any coordinated effort to keep it quiet, but for the far more ordinary reason that a single ambiguous, partly erased fragment does not fit cleanly into any publishable framework, and caution tends to default to silence rather than speculation. None of this is real. There is no seventh watcher, no erased name, no provincial archive holding a warning that was deliberately silenced. Real Sumerian religion, Enlil, Nippur, the flood narratives that predate and likely shape the biblical one, is genuinely rich enough on its own to reward reading, from real translators and real excavation records, without needing an invented tablet to make it interesting.